Hello everybody. Okay, so today we are going to begin our next topic of chapter number 7 of your class 8 history. And the chapter number 7's name is, it should be mentioned here, civilizing the native, educating the nation. Okay, this is a chapter. Well, so let's begin. We have completed in the last video till new routines and new rules. We are going to begin from the topic, the agenda for a national education. So first of all, in this topic, we are going to study about that Britishers. What Britishers, as Britishers wanted India to be educated, in the same way other Indians also wanted India to be educated. And a lot of think that British system, modern, as they have seen a lot of developments in Western Europe and Western continent, right? So that is why a lot of Indians felt that if Britishers will teach Indians, so India will also develop. Okay, and a lot of also thought that who reacted against Western education, and among these are Mahatma Gandhi and Rabindranath Tagore, was two such individuals. Now let's see. So first of all, English education has enslaved us. This statement was given by Mahatma Gandhi, and how and why we will study in this topic, in this paragraph. Okay, so let's begin. Mahatma Gandhi argued that colonial education created a sense of inferiority in minds of Indians. What he felt that colonial education is not at all good for us. Why? His first point was that it can create a sense of inferiority in the Indian students. Okay, it can make the students see it can make the students see the Western education more superior, or Western civilization more better than Indian civilization, and and students would not be able to get to know about their own pride. Okay, and what he believed that this education is very poisonous, and also it can enslave Indians, as we have studied in the topic is heading that English education has enslaved us, means simply Mahatma Gandhi was totally, from each and every point, he was just arguing against this statement of this system, this movement that Indian students are getting colonial education. So he was not appreciable at all. Okay. So he also said that if Indians should be educated in such like that they should be able to recognize their sense of dignity and self-respect. Okay, so what this is what he Mahatma Gandhi wanted. Okay, during the national movement he urged students to leave educational institutions. As we know, the national movement was the Asahyog Andolan. In that Andolan, in that agitation, it was there that Mahatma Gandhi requested the students to leave the colonial colleges, colonial schools, British schools, and British colleges, and don't be a part of it. Okay. Now, Mahatma Gandhi also felt that Indian languages ought to be the medium of teaching. Why? Because if Indians would be learning English, they will not be able to get to know their about own language. They will become strangers on their own lands. So this is the statement given. Speaking a foreign tongue, despising local culture, the Indian educated did not know how to relate to the masses. Now he's telling about a lot of points against the English education. That is, an English education did not know how to relate the masses, but a Hindi educated will be able to know that how to talk to mass, how to follow the mass, how to make the mass to follow you. Okay, and then Western education, Mahatma Gandhi said, they mostly focus on reading and writing, which is not that important as compared to oral education. Okay, and also the next point he said, first point was oral, can't relate to masses. Okay, then first point was mass. Then second point was about their an oral education will be lacking. Okay, then third it is that it will be able they will only be get into the textbooks, not they will not get real experiences in their life if they become a part of colonial education. Okay, he argued that education ought to develop a person's mind and a soul. Okay, so what was Mahatma Gandhi's statement here? He argued that education must ought to be develop a yes person's mind and soul. And literacy or simple learning to read and write by itself did not count as education. Okay, so he wanted to tell about that. And also he wanted Indians to learn something, to make something from their hands, to do some craft, to do some work, to know how different things operate. Okay, this would develop their mind and their capacity to understand. This type of education was wanted by Mahatma Gandhi. Okay, now let's get to the next page. Here it is. Here's small statement source in which you can learn Mahatma Gandhi's words, what his exact point of view was. Now, as nationalist sentiments spread, other thinkers also began thinking of a system of national education which would be radically different from the setup by the British. Okay, so basically it is telling a lot of nationalists thought that the national education will be radically different from the setup of British. So they thought that British system of education is not good, so they should make a national system of education where they would be able to, they would be able to make a good system and improvement, and at least that would be better than British system. Now let's get to the Tagore's abode of peace. Okay, so what is Tagore? Who was Tagore? Rabindranath Tagore, obviously. So we have heard the term Shanti Niketan, right? Shanti Niketan. In our nearby, we have seen a lot of schools named like that. In each and every state, we could be able to find such any school named on Shanti Niketan. Okay, so why it was established and by whom it was established? So basically, Rabindranath Tagore started an institution in 1901. Okay, in 1901 he began an institution. Okay, yes, in 1901 he began an institution which was named as Shanti Niketan, or in English it was named as Abode of Peace. Okay, as a child, why did he made this school? Why did he made this institution? What made him to do this? Because as a child, when Tagore was learning, uh, uh, was schooling in Calcutta, he was under the British rule. Okay, so in the British schools, he used to. It was so suffocating and oppressive for him to study and it was literally like appeared like a prison for him, the school. Okay, so he always felt like so bounded with all of rules and restrictions that he can't explore himself. Okay, so it is also telling that the experience of this his school days in Calcutta shaped Tagore's ideas of education, right? So as we are able to see the education, Tagore's idea of education, we are able to get to know about the Tagore's mind of uh, because of his oppressive and suffocating schoolings and surroundings in the school. On growing up, he wanted to set up a school where the child was happy, where she could be free and creative, where she was able to explore her own thoughts and desires. That is what he wanted. Tagore felt that childhood ought to be a time of self learning outside the rigid, restricting discipline of the schooling system set up by the British. Same thing, that he thought that it should be a time of self learning, self creativity, and all the things by your own, in spite of being in the rigid restrictions and disciplines and all. Okay, teachers had to be imaginative, and for this, what should be the teachers like? Teachers should be imaginative, understand the child, help the child develop their curiosity. Okay, so these qualities should be in a teacher. According to Tagore, the existing schools killed the natural desire of child to be creative, her sense of wonder. Okay, so it is telling her sense of wonder, her sense of being surprised to get to know about something, to get a curiosity for something. These all feelings are being killed because of the British existing schools system. Okay, now let's get to the next. Tagore was of the view that creative learning could be encouraged only within a natural environment, obviously. So he had this view, so he chose to set up his school 100 kilometers away from Calcutta. Okay, so where was the school set up? 100 kilometers away from Calcutta, in the rural setting, means in the village areas. He saw it as an abode of peace. Abode of peace. Here it is, Shanti Niketan. Okay, now where living in harmony with nature, children could cultivate their natural creativity, and all this could happen in those schools, in that Shanti Niketan. In many senses, Tagore and Mahatma Gandhi thought about education in similar ways. There were, however, differences too. Gandhiji was highly critical of Western civilization and its worship of machines and technology. Tagore wanted to combine elements of modern Western civilization with what he saw as the best within Indian tradition. He emphasized the need to teach science and technology at Shantiniketan along with art, music, and dance. So, as in this paragraph, it is telling that if in the till now what we studied about Mahatma Gandhi's thoughts and Tagore's thoughts, we got to know they are almost similar, but there is a difference also. What is the difference? That Mahatma Gandhi do not want a single piece, nothing from Western education, and he was very highly critic of Western education, civilization, and he just don't like to worship machines and technology. Okay, now, on the other side, what Tagore wanted that they should take modern Western civilization ideas and thoughts and education, and they should choose the best from the Indian tradition and should combine both of them, and then they should teach over that on those resources. They should teach on the basis of those resources. Okay, and that is why he emphasized the need to teach science and technology at Shanti Niketan. Okay, along with art, music, and dance. Science and technology is a part of Western civilization. Art, music, and dance is a part of Indian civilization. Many individuals and thinkers were thus thinking about the way a national educational system could be fashioned. Some wanted changes within the system set up by the British and felt that the system could be extended so as to include wider sections of people. So, So at that time, basically, a lot of thoughts of Indians were coming together. Some were thinking that they should, a national educational system should be really very good, and some wanted to change the systems made up by British school systems. Some means to develop them or to make some changes. Some wanted to extend the British schools, wanted to make more British schools, urged for that because they thought that Western civilization is good for them. Then a lot of urged that there should be alternate schools for that could represent nationality, and those should be truly national. Okay, so such schools were also being demanded at that time. But the debate about what this national education ought to be continued till after independence, means the what should be the national education of India, what should be the system. This debate was even continued after the independence. Okay, here is a figure 12, children playing in a missionary school, Coimbatore, early 20th century. Okay, so this is an image of Coimbatore, early 20th century school, which is basically a missionary school. By the mid 19th century, schools for girls were being set up by Christian missionaries and Indian reform organizations. Now, in the mid 19th century, schools were being set up for girls by Christian missionaries and Indian reform organizations. So that was it in your chapter. I hope you got it. If you have any kind of doubt, please mention in the comment section so that I would be able to answer and clear your doubts. Thank you. Have a good day.